Trump promised he'll be the Jewish people's protector and defender, and adding that he will, quote, be the best friend Jewish Americans have ever had in the White House. But Trump also aired grievances that are being called anti-Semitic. ABC News investigative reporter Olivia Rubin joins us now with more. Olivia, walk us through the former president's comments that are sparking some pretty fierce backlash.
Well, like you said, Elizabeth, comments that were meant to be at an event combating anti-Semitism. Donald Trump has, of course, been courting the Jewish vote, going to a number of events about anti-Semitism. But instead, what he did, as he has done multiple times, is make comments that some have found offensive. Specifically, this time, what he said is that essentially his critics are saying tried to lay the blame at the feet of Jewish people if he were to lose the 2024 election. Take a listen.
I'm not going to call this as a prediction, but in my opinion, the Jewish people would have a lot to do with a loss if I'm at 40%. If I'm at 4, think of it, that means 60% are voting for Kamala, who in particular is a bad Democrat. So with your vote, you can reject anti-Semitism in our schools, in our communities, in our foreign policy, and in our immigration system. But all of that starts by rejecting Kamala Harris at the ballot box.
So it's that phrase you heard right there, Elizabeth, where he said that Jews essentially would have a lot to do with a loss that is sparking that sort of backlash. Groups like the ADL are, coming out to say, we thank Donald Trump for, his effort to draw attention to anti-Semitism. But when he makes remarks like that, it undermines his cause. And what they say is that it ends up drawing more attention and more hate at a time when tensions are already very high, Elizabeth.
Right. And as we have seen that, in our own polling shows what previous elections show, Jews are a pretty small group, about 2% of all adults in the electorate. Trump's also accused Vice President Harris of pandering to Hamas supporters. Let's take a listen to what Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff, who is himself Jewish, had to say in an interview with Good Morning America's Michael Strahan.
It's typical Donald Trump gaslighting. This is a guy who has had a record of saying incredibly vile anti-Semitic things. So for him to say that, I just almost laugh at how the chutzpah, as we would say.
Olivia, our polling does show that Jewish voters overwhelmingly prefer Vice President Harris. You can see there 63% to 33% among Jewish voters. It's really, as you kind of hinted before, this isn't the first time that we have heard the former president criticize Jewish voters for historically supporting Democrats.
Well, I think it's interesting how we hear Doug Emhoff speaking out for Kamala Harris. Those around Donald Trump would be quick to point out that he has a Jewish son-in-law. Jared Kushner is, of course, Jewish. And so they often use that as pushing back on any claims that he is in any way anti-Semitic. But I think clearly some people are taking note of that polling. Donald Trump, like I said, has been going to a number of events focused on combating anti-Semitism for a long time. He was talking extensively about those violent protests on college campuses that were going on for a little while. But Elizabeth, I think what's